Welcome. Thanks for tuning in for this full supermoon in Scorpio. I am up in the Rocky Mountains of Colorado here because the sun is in Taurus. And Taurus rules the earth. So I'm going to give you a quick overview of what these cosmic energies are speaking about, insights from a good friend of mine. And then finally, I'll finish with your moon horoscopes. You'll see a timestamp below so that you'll know where your chart is being triggered. Every full moon is heightened energy. Supermoon just means that the moon is closest in her rotation to the earth, so she looks bigger, she's closer to us. It really does amp up all the energy. Being that it's under the influence of Scorpio, it's like dialing up the intensity factor here. So definitely have some big energies. It's hitting me hard right now, which is why I had a conversation with my friend Doug Goodfeather, and he was gracious enough to share some of his insights with me about pursuing transformation and spiritual growth. This full moon really is speaking to spiritual awakening. Now, I know that's a huge buzzword that everybody's using, but we have the sun in Taurus alongside the planet Uranus and Venus. Uranus is called the Great Awakener. It's like the lightning planet of the sky that really works to connect us to our higher power. So Doug Goodfeather was born under a Scorpio moon. The moon influences your emotional body, which means his emotional system is influenced by the energy of Scorpio. So his work and life purpose is wrapped around healing, which is the highest expression of the energy of Scorpio. The sign of Scorpio takes energy and transforms it, transmutes it. It takes pain and changes it and finds healing. His life work revolves around healing others, helping others take their pain and transform it into healing. His work as the executive director and spiritual leader at Lakota Way here in Colorado works to help bring healing, especially homeless and veterans. He's spent a lifetime taking pain and transmuting it into something beautiful and healthy that can be shared with other people. So that's what this moon is speaking to. It's really making us find the things that are preventing us from pursuing our life's passions and awakening us to those passions so that we can live life fully aligned physically, emotionally, spiritually, and mentally. So a spiritual awakening means it's simply just finding your passion for life be renewed and awakening to your higher powers. The birds are really having fun around us here today. This full moon in Scorpio is really reflecting the sun in Taurus with Uranus, Venus, and Mercury all there holding down Mother Earth energy. Taurus energy is where we really attune to the divine feminine. Taurus is ruled by Venus, and you can see behind me there, this is the magic of the mother in those mountains behind us here. That's what Taurus energy is. Taurus rules all of our senses that make us feel enlivened and embodied. Sight, smell, touch. It's food, it's music, it's love. It's taking the resources that are provided to us generously and turning that into something that will help sustain us. Scorpio energy is the opposite end of that, and it really is where we flirt with and understand our mortality and learn to feel the power in creation. It's where we understand that beyond our physical senses, there's something higher, and we can tap into and tune into those senses. That's the spiritual awakening. So tapping into your unseen world to tune into your higher self, tune into your higher powers. So we have the physical body in Taurus with the earth energy, the emotional body in Scorpio with all the water energy, and Uranus is triggering our spiritual body. Now the power in creation speaks to strength. Both of these signs they're the strongest signs in the zodiac. Taurus knows how to hold the power in life. It's the patience in creation. It understands how to work with what's given to them. Think about what it takes to create life. It's water and earth. It's earth and water together manifesting a new foundation. New life created comes from sacrifice. Both of these signs speak of sacrifice and pain. Both of them understand what it means to find a passion for joy and living. Scorpio flirts with death and understands its mortality so that it can appreciate life and what it's got to offer. Scorpio is the only sign of the zodiac that has 4 archetypes that explain its energy level. The Taurus archetype of the bull and the Scorpio archetype of the Scorpio are both very docile creatures. They're not deadly until provoked. So once they're provoked, they will take you out. And then from Scorpio, it goes beyond, it takes it up a level, and Scorpio knows that it won't just kill. If it kills itself. The next level is the snake, which sheds and grows. So it learns from its mistakes, takes energy and evolves. And then it moves up to an eagle, which moves closer to spirit and knows that there's more than just this earthly realm. There's also spiritual, cosmic realm to be connected with. And then the phoenix, where we're completely burned by the flames and transformed into something else. All of this is about the power of creation of new life and transformation. So thanks for joining us here today. I hope you enjoy Good Feathers Insights. Look for your moon horoscopes with the timestamp below so you can see how you're being triggered and what.
Hello, my name is Doug Goodfeather. I greet you in a good way from my heart to you. I just wanted to share a little bit about transformation from, letting go things that need to be let go instead of dragging them around. And in our culture, in the Lakota society culture, there's a ritual that they do, and they call it dragging of skulls, buffalo skulls. And when you drag these buffalo skulls, they represent your burdens and things that you carry around that are not, you don't necessarily need to be carrying around. So when you break from those, you let that go, and you have to even mentally, emotionally let it go too, because if you don't, you're going to be always dragging buffalo skulls. And the more that, the longer that you drag them, the more that's going to be added to that. And then heavier and heavier it's going to get in your life. So in this life, we have some of these things that we get used to because sometimes it's our safe haven, and we feel comforted in it and safe in it, even though it's unhealthy in many ways. And so when we stay in that, we stay in a rut, and we become stagnant from that. And just doing that, you don't allow yourself to evolve, to grow, so you can mature spiritually, mentally, emotionally, even physically, in all the aspects of parts of your life. In order to keep balance, we need to continue to evolve in that, in our growth, because society always teaches us to stay in one place, in our safe haven, to stay in that comfort zone. But we don't grow in that way. We don't grow in that comfort zone. We have to go out and experience life. And life is so mysterious. That's the beauty of it. It's like the different flowers you see in different places and the way it smells. And so when we grow and we evolve, we have to pursue it sometimes, or either it's going to pursue us, because we have a purpose on this earth, and that purpose must be fulfilled. If we don't fulfill it, then life will remind us, because life and your spirit and this earth, this life, work together. They know each other, and they have a communication with each other. Mother Earth and all that has a sacred movement that has a place for us every time. Wherever we go has a place for us in that. And we have to fulfill those, and that's where sometimes our deja vus wake us up, give us confirmation to spirit memories or stuff like that. So that's what I've learned, and how I've learned to evolve is to continue to follow that spiritual pool, that spiritual movement that's moving around. And as you know, today, you know, the awareness has really heightened in everybody in this world, and the things that have come to teach us, you know, the COVID-19, you know, brought a lot of awakening in this world. And people don't understand it. It's a new energy that came, and we have to fit into that. We have to let go of our old energy, because we got to get into that new energy. So when it's like a new coat you put on, you got to fit into it, because if you don't fit into it, you know, you're just going to be stagnant in your life, and you'll get stuck. That's when we get confused. But when you allow yourself to feel that new energy, it feels like you have jitterbugs, or you got your anxiety picks up. You know, awareness happens. You get insight. Things are happening. You're waking up. You're heightening. And so we're not used to that, because we're used to our comfort zone. So if you allow yourself to grow and to push yourself, then those things will come easier. Instead we don't allow ourselves to grow. We listen to negative things that fool us. We have to listen to the truth that's pulling us. That you feel, and you have these dreams that are coming in. A lot of people get, when spiritual awakening happens, a lot of people get scientific, you know, mathematical, and insights just come from all over the place, and we realize them. Then we start to realize the synchronicity of life, and the sacred movement of life, and then we start to realize all this stuff that's happening is it's correlating together in our life, and it's those mathematical and scientific awakenings that happen to us is our formulas, you know, to help ourselves or to help others. And usually this is a time to really be aware of these things, because you're going to end up helping people with it. So these are experiences that are happening, and realizing that this is going to help others as well, because, you know, your purpose is strong. And we're not just here for any old reason. There's a reason why we're here on this earth, the reason why we're created. We choose this life, and how we turn this life to fit whatever we're doing. And sometimes that fit isn't healthy or good for us, so it like snatches us out of it somehow. Brings us to a crossroads. It brings us to a crossroads where, like, which way should I go? You know, when the answer is just keep going, keep moving forward. Because usually if we go that way or this way, we stay here when we're stagnant. But if we go there, then I think that journey's longer, and you gotta go way over there to learn something. And same here, you gotta go way over here when it's just you know, listen to that pull, listen to that feeling that's happening in your body, and just follow it. And so, you know, those are the things that I've learned about, you know, learning how to be unstuck. And we have to be willing to, you know, sometimes jump off the cliff, even though you don't see the bottom and it's just clouds. But you have to believe. You have to believe to know that's going to be okay. But we have to feel that. We have to feel that in order for us to, I guess, to tame us, for us to get used to it. Because I believe there's going to be spiritual awakenings. Once you wake up, there's always going to be a spiritual awakening happening in certain parts of your life, and you're always going to go through evolving, and you're going to get more heightened. And I believe that's what happens when we start to ascend into a higher consciousness, and where our mental capacities is not just 10% anymore. It's evolving into 20, 30, 40, all, you know. And that's where I believe the spiritual awakening is bringing us to, because we need to advance. and Mother Earth knows that. Mother Earth, and the spiritual intelligence that knows that too is really, it's really amazing to understand how, if you just believe, the amazing things that will happen in your life. And once you believe that, then you're going to know it all the time. Believe to know, believe to see, I always like to say. So it just takes an effort to be willing. Be willing, because a lot of us get stuck in fear because of our comfort zone. We get stuck in fear, and it paralyzes us, keeps us sheltered, and we don't allow ourselves to grow. So, you know, these things, dreams come to us, teach us, you know, just something will teach us. A song, like, oh wow, that reminded me of something, a dream, or even just somebody saying something, or just driving down a road and you see something that reminds you of somebody talking to you, spiritual, right. The spirits talking to you, you know, somehow, some way they're going to communicate with you. And so you just learn how to be aware of those things, and when you're aware of those things, you're starting to grow. You're not panicking no more. You don't get that jitterbugs all the time. And when it happens, that's intuition, you know. And so just listen to it. Be willing to listen to that intuition, because you could basically save lives. You know, save lives and make other people better. And I always look at it as, if you're helping one person, you're helping many, because that person might have a family, big family, you know, co-workers, you know, the work they do, whatever, you know, once you help that one person, yeah. And then that person that you help is going to help somebody, and so on and so forth. So it's amazing. It's amazing how we all are a piece of each other's puzzle.
Right.
So,
thank you. I appreciate your input. You know, a big part of what this theme is about letting go of control and surrendering to the higher powers.
Yes.
So,
yep.
Not having fear for the unknown, the great mystery that's out there. We don't know everything. We're not supposed to know everything.
That's why I keep moving, because you know, that mystery is what is going to be exciting, and what is exciting. And you know, I've learned that like death is just a process. It's just another process of life. It's just a transformation from one place to another. We get scared of it because, you know, we're taught different things. And if you just believe in yourself and believe in the main source we're going to, it's going to be all right. You know, our relatives are over there, and you know, we're just temporary here, learning a lesson to evolve into the next life or dimension, wherever we're going. You know. So.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Welcome, Aries, to your full moon horoscope for this supermoon happening in the sign of Scorpio on April 26th. Aries, this energy is showing up for you in the 8th house that is traditionally ruled by Scorpio. This is where the moon is opposite the sun in the sign of Taurus. And this axis of the zodiac that is being triggered here is the power line. So this is the power in creation. Taurus is the energy of life. It's the physical body. It's Mother Earth energy. Scorpio is death. 8th house is death. And Aries, this is what part of your chart is being triggered here. This is your emotional body. And we also have Uranus up here triggering your spiritual body. So the goal here is for alignment. We want spiritual, mental, physical, and emotional alignment here. 2nd house and the 8th house are about power. It's also where your power hides. So Aries, I want you to consider Are you being open to receiving abundance from the universe, which is what all of these energies up in Taurus here want to provide from you? Taurus is the energy that teaches us to be open to receiving its divine feminine energy. So ruled by Venus, it is the power to create and give life. And in Scorpio here, it's where your power circulates. It's also the access line of resources. It's what we have and what we get or gain from others. So at a practical level, at a physical level, you could attend to your finances and put a plan together that will help you pay off debts. You could invest in connecting with your emotional body. You're a fire sign, and so you react and follow inspiration, which is intuition and motion there, but your emotional body can't be ignored. So the Sun in Taurus here is teaching you that you can survive, but you can also create earthly burdens while you're doing that. And Scorpio wants to help you release those burdens. So there's something that's getting in the way of you or your ability or your feeling of worthiness to create and convert possibilities into reality for you. So you can sit on your potential, or you can release it out into the world. It's not a matter of circumstance or your abilities or your feelings of worthiness. It is your right to do so. This is also the part of the chart where it talks about equal give and take and reciprocity. And Aries, you're good at covering yourself and making sure that you're taken care of. Are you giving equally to other people? When it's showing up in your 8th house, this is, again, where you share the resources that you have. These could be your inherent resources or gifts, things that you were born with, that the universe, the higher powers here, Uranus, is calling you out to share with others. Put your gifts out into the world and allow the abundance to come back to you for doing so. Also, are you being open to receiving gifts from other people? Equal give and take, reciprocity, it's an exchange there. Give and receive. Make sure you're not hiding your power. I want to talk about this card here that showed up for you because it's definitely your energy here. So with this fire sign, the card is heat. So the elements are already there. A little heat will get things moving. Fire agitates and causes change, which is what Uranus in Taurus is all about here. It wants freedom and change. So in order to take a risk and start new things, you can't stagnate. You can't sit there and not move. Your sign is really good at not allowing that to happen. Aries doesn't sit for very long. So, Aries, this is a time for you to not sit still and not stagnate, but also be really mindful of reciprocating and not falling prey to, not being afraid of death or change or doing things differently than you've always done them before. Go stand under the light of this big, full, super bright moon and offer up some gratitude for it. Make a little love, have a little fun, do something great. Welcome, Taurus. This is your super moon, full moon horoscope for Scorpio, happening April 26th. And Taurus, this is illuminating your 7th house of relationships. You understand your energy. You know that the Sun and Venus and Uranus and Mercury are all together in your sign right now of Taurus. Uranus has been there for a while. He'll continue to be there for a couple more years. And it doesn't like being in your sign. Uranus is the planet of change, and you are the planet of wholeness. With your 7th house being activated here, the moon in Scorpio is reflecting the polar opposite of your energy line. You're creating new life through your relationship right now. And this card came up for you, which is a time of renewal. So there's new life that is wanting to come through as it pertains to the way you relate to yourself and others and the world around you. Venus was just purified with the sun. She's offering up the power to know your self-worth and know your value, which is super important to you, and to not be codependent on others or your circumstances or situations. So there's something in your relationships that either needs to change or is changing, and you need to release your fears and bring some love into the situation. Scorpio is telling you, the moon reflecting the light through Scorpio is enabling you to really come to the truth of the situation and find out what it is that you want to open up and receive in this life. What would make you feel abundant and open to relationships that bring you joy? What is it that you need to change in order to get to that point? This full moon is the sit down with the coach during the halftime show to bring to light what has transpired since November, when the moon was new in the sign of Scorpio. That happened November 14th. So for you, Taurus, this part of your chart that rules relationships was activated back on mid-November. And so whatever was started, partnership or a new way of relating to yourself that began last November, how's it going? What's getting in the way of your freedom? This is the planet Uranus here in your sign of Taurus, is all about freedom. It wants to free your soul in order to be aligned with your physical body and your emotional body. This is spiritual, physical, emotional energy that wants alignment, and it's showing up for you in the way that you relate to yourself and others. This is pretty significant because all of this energy right here is fixed. It's holding. You don't move, you don't budge, you don't change. And Uranus is here to say, get out of the way, Taurus. I'm going to make room for change here. It's time for renewal. So giving something new a try it doesn't have to be a lifelong obligation. You can switch, you can swap, you can refine your interests, friends, lovers, careers, plans, home as often as you like. If something doesn't fit right, you've got to try something new. And if that doesn't work out, you try something else. There's no failure in moving or starting over. Scorpio is the opposite end of your line of power here, and Scorpio will tell you that you have to renew and you have to change in order to be success. Sometimes the success comes in release and letting go and surrendering. I know for me, after getting divorced, being together for 30 years, most people look at it and go, why did you break up? That seems like a failure. It's not a failure. That was a very successful relationship. It served its purpose until it didn't anymore. And if I would have stayed and not budged, it would have sucked the life force out of me. So it is very successful. Sometimes change is the most successful thing that we can do in order to free ourselves, to evolve and change and grow. That is the only constant in this life. This energy here wants you to root in and anchor in and stay put. It's what you're designed to do. And thank God we have you there to do it, because everybody needs a loving, anchoring support from Taurus energy here. But sometimes relationships are only meant to work for as long as they're meant to work. So there's no shame in moving on and trying something new. So the spiritual meaning of this card says, listen, because your heart is calling. That's what Venus, the sign that rules, the planet that rules your sign, is calling. She cannot be fulfilled by logic, by the mind. She has to drink from the well of life and be replenished. And sometimes hearts break along the way. And every time that they do, it opens you up to hold more, to go deeper. But, you know, the message here is that your essence doesn't change. So listen to what is being called from you so that you can be reborn. That's what this energy line is speaking to. All right, Taurus. I hope this helps in your quest to relate to yourself and others better. Thanks for tuning in. Welcome, Gemini, to your supermoon, the full moon happening in Scorpio. This is your horoscope reading for April 26th. So each full moon is corresponding with the new moon that happened in the same zodiac sign 6 months prior. The moon is full right now in the sign of Scorpio. So this is like a performance review for you. It's a time for you to reflect on how all of these energies have been showing up for you since November when the moon was new in Scorpio. The moon is reflecting the sun right now from Taurus, and it's together with Venus, Uranus, and Mercury. All of these energies are working through the sign of Taurus, which is the place in the chart that rules the earth. This is our physical body. This is Mother Earth energy. The full moon is illuminating from Scorpio, which is the opposite end of the spectrum here. Taurus represents life. Scorpio represents death. Life and death and rebirth. When the sun and the moon are opposite, it really is a time to reflect, and it illuminates all the things that you're projecting outwards and where you can find some balance to learn to be open to receiving. This is what Taurus teaches us. Taurus is ruled by Venus, which is the divine feminine energy. This is where we learn to be open to receiving the abundance that Mother Nature provides for us. You're being asked to harness your full power, release any blockages, and let go of any behaviors or patterns that are preventing you from fully being aware in your life. So Gemini, you really carry the gift and the power of knowing what your heart is made of by observing and your interactions with others. All of this energy is triggering your chart in the 6th house, which is the place of your daily habits and rituals and routines. So you're going to want to stop and look at what needs to change there. This is the halfway point before the cycle ends in November when the moon is new in Scorpio again. So this is a time for you to really practice and recognize how these energies are showing up for you. Integrate them into your daily routines, habits, and life so that you're fully empowered. Something needs to change, something needs to be surrendered, something needs to die in order for new health, wealth, and well-being to show up into your daily life. So Gemini, before this reading, I did a meditation and pulled a card to see what message needed to come through for you for this full moon activating your 6th house. And the core showed up, which is really perfect because it really is speaking to being the center of your own world here. And like I said, you already have the gift and a very strong sense of what your heart is made of by being able to observe others around you, how you interact with the world around you. You always have choices. And your choices reveal what's at the heart of the matter. It's the core of the issue. So the closer that you get to truth, your reactions become hotter. So any pressure that you're feeling right now in your daily work, in your health, in your routines and rituals can be offset by finding a little balance here in your inner world. This is really a time to Review your relationships, your joy, your family, your independence, and let go of any control. Make wise choices because ultimately you have to answer to your heart. The center of your existence is you. It's the heart. It follows you everywhere. You're the center. You have ultimate control over how you show up and how you change and what behaviors you choose to repeat, or behaviors and patterns, habits, rituals that need to be implemented or things that need to be tweaked so that you can be fully empowered. Now's the time to do that. All right, Gemini, I hope this was helpful and that you find your center under the light of this full moon. Please also look at your rising sign and your sun sign. Take good care. Welcome, Cancer. This is your full moon horoscope that's happening in the sign of Scorpio on April 26th. This is a super moon, so the energies are really amped up. You may already be feeling this because the moon is your sign and it triggers you big time. Let me just start by saying, yes, this is a super powerful full moon, and I'm going to give you a quick overview here and just tell you where your chart is being triggered and what's coming up for you right now. When the moon is full, it corresponds with the new moon that happened in the same sign 6 months prior. So right now, we have a full moon in Scorpio. November 14th, it was new in the sign of Scorpio. So you're going to want to look back and see how things have progressed during that time, what's shown up for you, how these energies are showing up for you. It's kind of like a performance review. Use this time to reflect and see what needs to be adjusted so that you can stand fully empowered, because Scorpio is the sign that really speaks to your internal power and wanting you to be fully empowered. It's also a time to release and surrender control. Surrender doesn't mean giving up. Surrender means to put it in the hands of God and Spirit and say and ask for some help. Trust that it's there for you. When the sun and the moon are opposite each other, it really is illuminating what we project outward into the world so that we can find balance and come back into a place of being able to receive. Taurus is the sign that rules the second house of the chart. This is Mother Earth energy, ruled by Venus, which is also with the sun, Uranus, and Mercury right now. All of these energies are in the sign of Taurus, really working to open us up to being able to receive the abundance of this life. So your power is being illuminated through Scorpio right now to help you let go of behaviors or patterns that are preventing you from fully integrating and being able to receive. Cancer, this is showing up for you, and this is triggering the part of your chart that rules the fifth house. The fifth house is where you find your joy. Taurus and Scorpio here, which speak to life and death. This is the power line of the zodiac. It's the power of creation. It's the power of life and death. This is speaking to cycles of life, death, and rebirth. And it's showing up for you in the house of creative joy. I'll let you determine how that speaks to you, but there's something here that needs to change or shift or be let go of in order for you to find your joy, in order for you to stand fully empowered in this lifetime. I don't know if you can see this or not, but the artwork depicts someone looking at a baby dragon here. So you really are being asked to get to know your dragons and make revisions. That's what the full moon is bringing up for you here. This is a time to make adjustments and revise any behaviors or patterns that are keeping you stuck. When I read the meaning of this card, I think it'll resonate with you because you are the sign of the zodiac that understands the emotional body. You hold your emotional body is very, very closely tied to your physical body. And the card meaning for revision when I read this is really powerful. The earthly meaning of it says your body remembers the trauma, the closeness, the love, the fear, and exuberance of your full history, even when your mind doesn't. Bring a memory to the surface to align your current self with the knowledge stored in your body. Go deeper into a challenge to go beyond it. A study of the past will help you recognize and break a limiting cycle. That's exactly what the universe is asking you to do here. The spiritual meaning of this card, which is what Uranus is all about. Uranus rules the spiritual body. It wants change. It wants you to be free. And so the meaning behind this is that the memory of creation is stored within the ground that you walk on. This access line of the zodiac is the power of creation. So when you still your mind and relax and close your eyes and feel the intense, timeless, healing energy of Mother Earth, there is love. One breath and one dream flowing and evolving through you and this beautiful planet. Touch her, think her, feel her all around you, and know that she's inside your heart. I think the insight from this card is speaking to the awareness of the fact that, when paleontologists study the earth, they found that evolution is not a steady process. Instead, you go through periods of long stasis that are followed by bursts of short and sudden change. And then those changes stabilize relatively quickly and go through long periods of stasis again. Cancer, you're being asked to align your consciousness, your awareness with knowledge that's held in your body so that you can make changes, break patterns, align with Mother Nature, and become empowered to live your life with joy and meaning and fulfillment. Go create something beautiful in this life. Thanks for tuning in, Cancer. Be sure to watch your rising sign and your sun sign. Welcome, Leo. This is your full moon horoscope for the full moon that's happening on April 26th in the sign of Scorpio. This is a super moon, so all of the energies are amped up. A super moon just means that it is closest to the earth. It looks really bright and beautiful outside right now, so you should go stand under the light of this moon and revel in it a little bit. Let's talk about what's happening for you, Leo. First, we have the sun and the moon opposite each other. The sun is in the sign of Taurus, which rules the second house of the zodiac. That speaks to the creation of life. The moon is opposite, full, reflecting the sun's light, in the sign of Scorpio, on the opposite end of the spectrum on the zodiac, which represents death. So this is really speaking to cycles of life, death, and rebirth. Taurus is the sign that is ruled by Venus, which is also with the sun right now. Uranus, which speaks to our spiritual body. It is the planet that wants us to free our spirit and become closer to God, really. And then Mercury is our mental body. So all of your bodies are being activated right now. We have our spiritual body, mental body, physical body, and emotional body. Leo, all of this energy is showing up for you in your fourth house of home, family, roots, where you feel like you belong. When we stand under and reflect under a full moon, each full moon corresponds to the new moon that happened in the same sign 6 months prior. Back on November 14th, the moon was new in the sign of Scorpio, starting a new cycle for you that was triggering your fourth house. This energy will be showing up for you all year. This is like a performance review. It's the halfway culmination point of this cycle. And so it really is a time for you to reflect on how all of these energies are showing up for you. Scorpio is the energy that asks you to release and surrender. So under the light of this full moon, you can really harness your full power by releasing blockages or letting go of behaviors and patterns that are preventing you from standing fully empowered. And when we're talking about the fourth house, this is home and family. Before I did this reading, meditated and asked for cards that reflected the message that Leo needs to hear in regards to the fourth house. And the powers are really powerful right now. They're speaking clearly because the card center came up for you. I'm going to read it so that I can clearly explain what this is about. But for you, Leo, the overall message for center is that you have to really be careful not to confuse selfishness with self-centering. You have to bring yourself to well-being based on your values, your future, your loved ones, and the center of your world. And you have to break hold of objects and patterns and things that are keeping you stuck. Or people or things or situations, family even, that keeps you from centering around you or making yourself stronger. So you really need to let go of fixed expectations, time frames for other people. Let's read what the card says here. The earthly meaning says that do not confuse selfishness with self-centering. Bring your well-being, your values, your future, and your loved ones to the center of your world. Break the hold of objects, habits, or relationships that insist you revolve around their needs and demands. Being centered makes you stronger and more balanced so that disturbances are less likely to knock you off your course, and allows you to extend your positive sphere of influence out into the world around you. So try to be patient, be flexible and adaptable and open-minded. You are well on the way of lining up with and aligning with your heart's desires. And when things in your home life, your personal life, knock your center off, knock you out of balance, and push you out of your flow, it takes a minute to recenter. And that's what the light of this full moon is asking you to do. It's asking you to recenter your well-being, what you need, what your desires and goals are for the future, so that you can be open to receiving the abundance that all this life wants to bring to you. Let go of any cycles or patterns or behaviors that need to go, expectations of others in your personal world, and recenter yourself. Because when you stand in the middle with your heart shining bright, it makes you stronger, which makes the world around you stronger. I hope this was helpful, Leo, and I hope that you'll stand under the light of this full moon, offer up some gratitude, make the necessary adjustments. It's really powerful energy, and it's important to harness it. Thanks so much for tuning in. Welcome, Virgo. This is your full moon horoscope for the full moon happening on April 26th in the sign of Scorpio. So this is a super moon. All of the energies are really amped up right now because the moon is closest to the earth. Full moons are heightened energy times anyway, but this is really extra right now. So if you're feeling it, feel it. All right, again, the energy that's going on here is happening in the sign of Taurus. Your physical body is being activated here with Venus, Uranus, and Mercury. Your emotional body is being activated with the moon in Scorpio. This is happening along the power axis of the zodiac. These are the powers of life and death and cycles of creation and rebirth. Virgo, this is lighting up and activating in your third house of local surroundings. When you reflect under the full moon, each full moon corresponds with the new moon that happened 6 months prior. So look back to November 14th when the moon was new in the sign of Scorpio to see how these energies have been showing up for you and what adjustments you might need to make now in order to fully stand empowered. This moon is speaking to being empowered, not seeking control, not seeking power, but standing empowered. Taurus is the sign that represents Mother Earth energy, and it is asking you to be open to receiving the abundance of all that life has to bring to you. Scorpios, on the other end of the spectrum, reminding you of things that you might need to let go of, patterns and behaviors that are getting in the way and blocking you from being open to receiving. Now, before I did this reading, I meditated and asked for a message to come through that would be for Virgo under the light of this full moon in the 3rd house, what message you needed, and the card Unity came up. And when I see this image, I already feel Virgo energy. You can just look at it and feel that this card is speaking to reciprocity. Virgo energy gives and gives and gives. You also need to be open to receiving. So there's some sort of imbalance. If there is an imbalance, the moon is going to be illuminating that for you. This is asking you to really see your worth and your value through others. When you refuse to accept or accept less than an equal give and take or an equal exchange from others, you're denying yourself. And that could definitely impact the outcome of anything that any intentions that you set under the light of the new moon back in November are going to be affected by what you allow to come into you. So again, the focus is reciprocity, give and take. Also, the spiritual meaning behind this is one of really being centered. Find your heart space. Peace isn't somewhere in the future. It's not something that we attain or find. When we trust and we're present in the moment, that's when we really have the most power. That's when our power can be felt by others. And when we're open to receiving. So all is born, all will die, and all will be reborn again. All is in the present moment now. Find some equilibrium here under the light of this full moon. I hope this is helpful, and please also look at your rising and sun sign to integrate both messages. Thanks for tuning in. Welcome, Libra, to your full moon horoscope. This full moon is happening April 26th in the sign of Scorpio. It is a supermoon, which means the moon is closest to the earth. It's really big and bright and beautiful right now, so if you can go stand underneath it, please do so. Okay, let's talk about where you are being triggered. We have the sun right now in the sign of Taurus, alongside Venus, which rules Taurus and your sign of Libra. So really powerful because Venus was just purified. She's really speaking to your self-worth and self-love. This energy is also being affected by Uranus, which is in the sign of Taurus. Uranus doesn't like to be in Taurus because Taurus is very fixed energy. It doesn't like change. And Uranus's job is to break up stagnant energies and create change. So the physical body is really being triggered right now. The mental body, our emotional body with the moon in Scorpio, this is water and earth. So Taurus is where life begins and is created. Scorpio is where life transforms. Water is a conduit. So your emotional body is always giving you signals and giving you clues as to what's going on with your spirit. So Uranus is concerned with your spiritual body. All of these energies are really seeking alignment here and balance. Libra, you're the sign that best understands this. So when we stand and reflect under a full moon, each full moon corresponds to the new moon that happened in the same zodiac sign 6 months prior. On November 14th, the moon was new in the sign of Scorpio. So you're going to want to go back and see what's transpired since then. How have these energies been showing up for you? Taurus is the energy of creating new life. Taurus, like you, Libra, is ruled by Venus, and Venus is concerned with the divine feminine. This is yin energy. This is being open to receive abundance, to create new life, and live fully empowered. Scorpio is bringing to light anything that's preventing you from being open to receiving. This part of your chart that's being activated is the second house. This is what Taurus rules. This is where the energy is already being activated. So your second house of self-worth, your resources, what you have in this lifetime, is being activated. And it started back with the new moon in November. So again, go back and see what's been showing up, make any adjustments that need to be made so that you can be fully empowered. Now, before I did this reading, I meditated and asked for a message with these cards to see what Libra needed to hear under the full moon here with this concerning your second house of self-worth, resources, joy. This is where we use our senses to be fully embodied. Scorpio is where we tap into our higher senses, our intuition. So Libra, you're being asked to tap into and integrate these energies so that you can surrender and release any blocks that prevent you or create doubt so that you can be moved to clarity. And this card, motion, I don't know if you can see the image well on it or not, but it's the image of a woman holding on to something in the current. So it's preventing her from not moving. Everything is in constant motion. All these energies are speaking to cycles of life and death and rebirth. So the only thing that is ever constant is change. This card is really speaking to the law of cause and effect. It's saying that you have the power to free yourself from anything that's holding you back to being in the flow of life. Scorpio moon wants you to surrender again and release anything that's preventing you from moving forward. Libra, you have to really clearly decide and define what you want and then take action accordingly. So again, cause and effect. See, if she lets go, she'll be in the flow of life again. So replace hoping for change with acting for change. You have to take action. First, you have to decide, then you have to take action. And Libra, I think, it's important to know that when you shift anything that's limiting you or preventing you, even just small shifts, it opens up a flood of creativity and insight to come in for you. It gives you confidence. All right, Libra, I hope this was helpful for you. Go stand under that full moon, thank her, and also watch your rising and sun signs so that you can integrate these messages. Take good care. Scorpio energy is about death and rebirth and power of creation. The moon obviously triggers our emotional body. Scorpio rules, it's fixed water, so it's deep emotions, and it's like deep ocean volcanoes erupting. This is the power of creation. That's what Scorpio energy and Taurus energy represent. The sun is in Taurus, the moon is in Scorpio. Together, these two energies rule the axis line of the zodiac that is about power. This is the power of creation. We have earth energy and water. These are both fixed signs. They hold power. Taurus holds the earth energy. And then we add Uranus to the mix, which wants to come in and break up stagnation. That's the whole point. We've got our physical body, our emotional body, and our spiritual body. Uranus comes in with lightning strikes, shifts, or quakes that will break up stagnant energy in order for us to evolve. Again, the powers of creation. We have Scorpio, which is death, Taurus, which is life. We have life and death. Taurus creates life. It is ruled by Venus. It brings us the resources from Mother Earth. Everything we need to survive in this world comes from the Earth and the Sun working through Taurus, the energy of new birth and new life. Scorpio is the opposite end of this energy. This is the yin and the yang. And Scorpio is where we play with power. We understand that there's power. There's things beyond this realm that we don't see. We feel it, but we don't see it. We know it's there because we can intuitively sense it, but it's unknown and it's mysterious. Scorpio pushes the boundaries in order to understand this. This is the point in the zodiac where power lays hidden. And Scorpio, this full moon is activating your first house, which is your sense of self. Uranus wants to come in and create new life and for you to spiritually evolve and awaken. So it is breaking up stagnation. It's breaking up repetitive patterns where you keep yourself in moderation, where you self-restrict. It's asking you to work through your fears in order to not be afraid of your power. People think Scorpios are reckless and crazy and scary, and they're not. The only thing that they're scared of is their own power. Scorpio will work through their fears on everything else. But when it comes to their own power, it can be, I know for me anyway, it is definitely the thing that stops me in my tracks. I'm afraid to wield my own power sometimes. And so this is also the sign of control. This is where we learn to control our power and hold it and find a balance point between being open to receiving the abundance that life has for us and circulating that power out into the rest of the world. So Taurus is earth energy. Scorpio is deep water territory. And this again is the powers of creation. When water and earth come together, they create new life. This is where the core of the earth erupts deep into the ocean, and deep ocean volcanoes create new land that rise to the surface. The power of creation. Again, your emotional body is probably going through this shift. Your physical body is going through this shift, and your spiritual body is asking you to evolve and to work through your fears and not be afraid of change. Taurus can hold us in our fixed position where we don't want to change. We don't want to move forward. We just want things to be simple and to be taken care of. And Uranus says, not on my watch. I'm hanging out in Taurus to shake everything out right now in order for you to connect with your higher power and evolve and awaken to your true power and your true spirit. Scorpio, you've been activated back in November on the new moon, November 14th. This same part of your chart, which is your first house again of self, this is where we perseverate and build our passions. This is where we just learn to follow them. So what is it that has come to light in the last 6 months? What is showing up for you? How is this energy sitting with you right now? What do you need to let go of? Are you restricting yourself in ways that are preventing you from being fully empowered and being open to receiving the abundance this world has to offer? Stand under the light of this full moon and make the necessary adjustments so that when the cycle completes at your next birthday and you're ready to move into the house that Taurus rules, you're ready to receive all that this life has in store for you. That's my take on it. I know it's resonating for you in your own way right now, and I thank you for tuning in. Welcome, Sagittarius. This is your full moon horoscope happening April 26th, the full supermoon that is in Scorpio. So right now we have the Sun, along with Uranus, Venus, and Mercury, all in the sign of Taurus, which rules the second house of the zodiac that speaks to the creation of life. This is divine feminine Mother Earth energy, and it's all being reflected by the moon in the opposite side of the zodiac here in Scorpio, which represents the opposite line of this power grid here that is the creation of life and death. This is death, rebirth, and creating a new cycle. Sagittarius, this amped up full moon with all of this energy is triggering your 12th house. You're going to want to look back to when the moon was new in November under the same sign of Scorpio and see what's transpired for you since then. We have your physical body being triggered, your emotional body, and your spiritual body. And the placement of this, where it's triggering you personally, is your spirit. Your spiritual life and your spiritual body is being triggered. Taurus asks you to be open to receiving the gifts from Mother Nature and life. Scorpio asks you to transmute, level up, evolve, awaken, and use your power to circulate it out into the world around you. And Sagittarius, in the 12th house, it is completion. So this is the end of a cycle. This is where you connect with everything that you can't see. It's spirit. It's connection to all things. It's connection to all life. Before I began these horoscopes, I took some time to meditate and asked Spirit to give me the messages that you needed to hear for your 12th house. And the card came up, connection. That's what the 12th house speaks of. I'm going to read it here so that you can understand how powerful this is. So the earthly meaning of this card, as it's written in the book, says, you need to find yourself by losing yourself. That's exactly what the 12th house of the zodiac speaks to. Find yourself by losing yourself. Connect with and be absorbed by everything around you. Find yourself by losing yourself in a conversation, a story, or someone's eyes. Be vulnerable. Be emotional. This is your emotional body being triggered. And be moved to deeper understanding. That's Scorpio speaking. Empathy is required. This is the 12th house. Let the pain and suffering, love and joy of others find a home in your heart. When you accept others without reservation, it means you're accepting yourself as well. So the spiritual meaning of this card is that when you focus on the subtle divine force inside you and recognize that this force is in everything else, you realize that the separation from energy, beauty, love, grace, and the power of the Divine Mother is an illusion. You're being asked to go stand under this full moon and really feel her fertility, feel the beauty and the peace inside of you, feel her love, allow it to flow through you so that your life will continue to unfold with blessings. Through her, your love flows out into the world. Use this time to make adjustments so that you are not blocking this love from flowing through you. You can't lose yourself by remembering your divine connection with all living things. Thanks so much for tuning in, Sagittarius. Please look at your rising, moon, and sun signs in order to get a complete picture of how these energies are integrating into your life now. Thanks for tuning in. Welcome, Capricorn. This is your full moon horoscope for the full moon happening April 26th in the sign of Scorpio. This is a super moon, so it's really activating and amping up your emotional body right now. It's happening in a water sign, and Scorpio goes deep. So Scorpio is pulling up all of the unseen and hidden emotions that lie below the surface. So Capricorn, this is triggering you in your 11th house of your chart. Now, when a moon is full, you're going to want to go back to the corresponding new moon that began in the same sign back November 14th when the moon was new under Scorpio, and see what these energies have been showing you since then. What's transpired since November? The sun is in Taurus with Venus, Uranus, and Mercury. Taurus is Mother Earth energy. This is the divine feminine point of the zodiac where life begins and new life is created. Taurus holds the second house of the zodiac, which is speaking to your self-worth, your resources available to you, and your ability to be open to receiving the abundance that nature wants to provide to you. Scorpio is the opposite end, where the moon is reflecting the light of the sun back. So it's triggering the opposite line of this power grid, which is speaking to the powers of creation. Taurus is life, Scorpio is death. Capricorn, something is being illuminated that you may need to surrender or let go of control of in order to create a new cycle. So we're going through infinite cycles of life, death, and rebirth here. Now, before I started your horoscope, I took a moment to meditate and ask for cards with guidance for you specifically, Capricorn, under the full moon. What messages do they have triggering your 11th house? This card of repetition came up. I hope that you can see the image on it, because it really is speaking to infinite cycles of life, death, and rebirth. Our souls are stretched out into these cycles of repetition, timeless repetition. And during each cycle, all your thoughts and actions draw from the past to feed your future. A full moon is an excellent time to stand out and pull out your cycles and patterns and behaviors, things that may need to be adjusted in order for you to stand fully empowered. Scorpio is the sign that wants you to stand in your power. It illuminates things that need to change in order for you to be empowered. Capricorn, you may be experiencing a sense of history that is somehow repeating here. It might be a chance for you to consider doing things differently to secure a better outcome. The 11th house of your chart is how you show up in your community. And it really speaks to, your resources that you have available to you through your friends. This power grid here that we're working in is also, it's self-worth, and it's also resources. It's everything that Mother Earth provides to you and everything Spirit inherently gives you. What resources do you need or can you tap into through your community and your friends in order to be fully empowered? If you need help, go seek it in your community, a talking circle, some sort of support group, something in order to help you get past and release a behavior or pattern that is keeping you from creating new life. Where can you serve in your community in order to help others do the same? Sometimes the difficulty in breaking a habit or a pattern is just your matter of thinking. So your physical body, your emotional body, and your spiritual body are being triggered here. Uranus is the planet of change. It will break up things in order to create new life and create change. That's what's happening here. And Capricorn, you're really triggered. You're being triggered to move past cycles of adverse or difficult situations. You don't have to keep repeating them. Use the resources available to you in your community to help you break through the cycle and shift into something more comfortable. That's what Taurus wants. Taurus wants you to be comfortable. Taurus wants you to be provided for. It wants you to be open to receiving all the good things that this life has available to you. Scorpio wants you to remember you came into this life with inherent power and resources to share with others. This journey will keep repeating and keep repeating and keep repeating until you learn, and as often as it's needed to. There's no rushing forward to the end. You really just have to tap into your wisdom in order to free yourself. And remember that you are part of the sacred. You are in the middle of it. So return to your oneness, stand under the light of this big, full, bright moon, and think about what it is that you need to let go of in order to really be empowered. Thanks so much for tuning in. Be sure to watch your rising, sun sign, and moon sign in order to integrate all the messages that want to come through to you for this full moon. Welcome, Pisces, to your full moon in Scorpio horoscope. This is happening April 26th. It's a super moon, and for you Pisces, it is triggering your 9th house. So when we stand and reflect under the full moon, each full moon corresponds to the new moon that happened in the same sign 6 months prior. So you're going to want to go back to November 14th when the moon was new in the sign of Scorpio to see how these energies are showing up for you. That's when your chart in the 9th house was triggered. So think of this kind of like a performance review. It's a time to reflect on how these, what's coming to surface for you here. When the moon and the sun are opposite, the opposition helps us illuminate what we project outwards so that we can see where we're off balance and learn what we need to in order to be open to receiving. That's what the energy of Taurus is all about. It's ruled by Venus, which is divine feminine energy. And our physical bodies really need to be in alignment in order to be able to receive and be open to receiving all the gifts that Mother Nature has for us. So this full moon is triggering your emotional body big time. It's water. It's amped up energy anyway. Everything is extra. You're a water sign as it is, and it is triggering your physical body, all of your senses, and your spiritual body. Uranus is in Taurus. It's conjunct the sun with Venus and Mercury, and it's all speaking to moving past stagnation, creating new cycles of life and death, and opening you up to really connecting with your spirit and taking you into new realms. So again, go back and see what has been showing up for you. What adjustments do you need to make? Scorpio is the sign that asks you to surrender control, work with spirit, see what you need to give up and let go of in order for them to bring something in for you that will give you the balance that you're seeking. Now, before I started these horoscopes, I did a meditation and I asked for the cards that were needed, the messages that were needed for Pisces relating to the full moon triggering your 9th house. And the card that came up was Revolution, which was really beautiful because it's a card that actually depicts by its picture. I don't know if you can see this because it's pretty detailed, but it really depicts the invisible wheels, the seasons of life moving through eternal cycles of death and rebirth. Pisces, you're the last sign of the zodiac. You understand these cycles. Taurus and Scorpio really are life and death. This is a cycle of rebirth and recreation. What's in the way of allowing you to recreate, level up, and explore new ways of standing in your power? I think it's really important for you to understand here that whatever appears to rise and fall away here at the end is just a small part of an endless journey. So without any clear start or ending, you're always here, really tapping into your divine mind, which is what Uranus is asking you to do here with this energy. Stand in your center, stand in your power, and let life move through you. Circulate your power out into the world. That's what Scorpio wants you to do. This is your journey. This is your season. Pisces, it's time to shine. Thanks for tuning in. Please also watch your sun, moon, and rising signs so you can integrate the messages. Aquarius, this is your full moon in Scorpio horoscope. So the full moon is happening April 26th. It is a super moon, which means it's closest to the earth. in its rotation, and the energies are really amped up. So Aquarius, this is affecting your 10th house. All of these energies, we have the Sun in Taurus with Uranus, Venus, and Mercury, are activating the power grid where it is concerning life and bringing new life into creation. The full moon is opposite in the sign of Scorpio, which is the polar opposite of that line, which is death and rebirth. It is evolving and creating new life. So Aquarius, you're being triggered here in your 10th house, which began when the moon was new back in Scorpio on November 14th. So you're going to want to go back and review and see how these energies have been showing up for you since then. Consider how you want other people to see you. That's what the 10th house, it's where you show up in the world. It's how you make your mark in the world. It's what other people see you as from a distance. And so there's something that may be needing to change or be adjusted that the full moon will illuminate for you here along the lines of your power. So in order for you to stand fully empowered, what adjustments need to make? So consider yourself like on a balancing board here between creating new life, something that needs to die in order to be reborn and create new life again. Taurus is ruled by Venus, and it speaks to being open to receiving. So this is yin energy. It is being open to receiving the abundance that life has for you. This is activating your physical body. Scorpio moon is activating your emotional body. So before I started this reading, I took a little time, meditated, and asked for messages that related to Aquarius, full moon, triggering the 10th house. What message did you need to hear? And I pulled the card reaction. I don't know if you can see this card very well here, but the image on it is emotional. It is of your emotional body. Scorpio brings to the surface everything that has been keeping you off balance, that's been under the surface for a really long time. So when you pay attention to your emotions and realize that these uncomfortable feelings you've been having are really powerful signals, and they're not just something that may have knocked you off the balance board here momentarily. It may be something that's been keeping you off balance for a long time. Now is the perfect time to really, step back and detach so you can gain a little clarity. If the last 6 months have been an emotional roller coaster for you, this is a good time to reflect on that. Go back and see how your reactions influence how you are perceiving what's real and what's not real. So step back, gain a little clarity, and use these signals to carefully consider what would make you stand more empowered and help you share your gifts out into the world. Use the emotional body to fuel the compassion that you have to serve others. Tap into the abundance of everything that is available to you right now and willing to help you. And don't be afraid to change and make changes where necessary. I hope this is helpful to you, Aquarius. Go stand under this big, bright, beautiful moon, and also look at your sun and rising signs, sun, moon, and rising, really, to fully integrate the messages that the universe has for you right now. Thanks for tuning in.